I'd note that this will be the last budget hearing of the Energy Committee that you'll chair, and you've spent a lot of years investing a lot of time in this subject, and I think we're all appreciative of your service. And I know we'll have several hearings, and this is not a goodbye.
You're going to have lots of chance to see me around here for many months.
And that's good. That's good, and we'll take the opportunity to thank you for your years of service. I just wanted to mention that. Secretary, last year at a similar hearing, I mentioned to you that it was unlikely that we were going to be able to reach the targets of the President's budget, and as a matter, and it suggested that you needed to go to was there a Plan B in place, or some thought of, if we don't reach this, how are we going to triage, or how are we going to make decisions about where the money ought to be spent? It turned out that that was true. The vote against the President's budget was unanimous, 97-0 for 2012 fiscal year. This new budget has been offered. It's unlikely that we'll even debate or vote it. The majority leader has said he's not going to bring it for a vote, but if it does, I think it'll probably have the same fate. So my question to you is, are you looking at a Plan B for FY13 fiscal year? And if not, why not? And if you are, could you share that with us either today or in subsequent hearings, or work with us to try to address the fact that the country just simply can't afford to do everything that we would like to do?
Well, as what happened last year, I hope you felt that there was a willingness to work with Congress. Ultimately, it's Congress appropriations that determine what we do and what we get, and with the consent of the President. And so I think we will, as the budget process unfolds, we certainly are willing to work with all members of Congress in the House and the Senate.
Well, thank you. I think we're going to need to do that. This plan is $1 billion more than last year, this budget, and I just don't see the possibility, given our current fiscal situation, of being able to fund everything that you've requested. So I look forward to doing that. Let me just turn to the issue of loans and guarantees and subsidies and so forth and so on. And I want to try to take it out of the political, whether it's a Republican administration or a Democrat administration. There have been a number of embarrassing moments where winners and losers have been selected on the basis of not doing basic research, which I think is a function of government, but in transferring that research to a specific industry, specific company. And it's embarrassing to you, it's embarrassing to the President, it's embarrassing to Congress, it's embarrassing to the way in which money is allocated. Talk a little bit about how we can avoid, and the problem is that the political gets involved, and then there are headlines, and there's allegations of crony capitalism and favoring one company over another for political reasons, accompanied with, well, maybe this is the maybe this is the future and we ought to invest this money. I know your department has taken some second looks at some of the proposed loan guarantees, and one of those was as a result of a letter Senator Toomey and I sent to you, and I thank you for doing that second look, that due diligence, which resulted in a different decision, saving potentially the taxpayer well over $500 million. And so I thank you for that. Can you talk a little bit about what I'm suggesting here, and that is two things. One, the due diligence needed to take second looks at what programs are currently being evaluated, and secondly, the whole concept of, should the government be involved? And I think it was Larry Summers who said, pardon the language here, government picking winners or losers is a crappy way to invest money. And I think we've had some examples of that. So could you address the role of government being involved in basic research as opposed to selecting specific companies to develop a particular product when we continue to run into, as I said, whether it's Republican or Democrat administration, continue to run into embarrassing situations on the taxpayer's dime?
Well, first, Senator, let me say that I'm very glad to hear you are very supportive of research and development, that that is a proper role for the government, because in many instances, not all of the investments in research and development are captured by the company that makes that investment. And because of that, not only this country, but countries all over the world feel that it is a government responsibility to help with the competitiveness of the businesses in their home countries to continue research and development. As you go more towards piloting, and especially towards deployment, that becomes increasingly a larger responsibility to really the responsibility of the private sector to decide what they want to invest in. But having said that, there have been policies in the United States that go back a century or more that do help beginning industries start off. This has been part of the tradition, if you think about going back again about 100 years, and the beginning oil industry in the United States. There were incentives to help early investments and develop this that are continuing, but certainly those incentives were there to spur new technologies. There are incentives. There were incentives in the airplane industry. There were lots of things in how to help the semiconductor industry. But in the last analysis, I think the most effective programs are ones which can guide and stimulate private investment. Senators Bingham and Markowski I think, are supportive of a sort of a seeded-like program, loan program that. But in addition to that, there are other things that we can do, which can actually, again, just help guide those investment choices. Mostly what we want to do, in my opinion, what we'd like to do is guide the investment choices that could really stimulate high technology manufacturing in the United States. There's no reason why we cannot be competitive with any country in the world. Germany remains competitive in high technology manufacturing. I believe they have higher labor costs than we do, and we're at least as innovative and inventive as any country in the world. I would say more so.
Well, my only response would be I think the market makes a better decision-making process than the government based on the record, and it's not the taxpayers' money at stake; it's the stockholders' money that's at stake, right, with the winners and the losers. And I just personally think that's the way it ought to be. And secondly, the historical comparison might not work now because we weren't drowning in debt when those loans were made. Today, we're drowning in debt. And we just can't keep going and having headlines that $500 million or $1 billion are lost again to the taxpayer. My time is more than expired, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.